Welcome to the Hardcore Closer Podcast. I'm Ryan Stewman, founder of hardcorecloser.com, and this podcast is all about helping you, the salesperson, close more sales. And look, whether you're selling cars, homes, financial services, consulting, whatever it is that you sell, this podcast is dedicated to help you generate higher quality leads, increase your closing ratios, and show you how to charge premium fees for the items you sell so you can get paid what you're worth. Welcome to episode 68 of the Hardcore Closer Podcast. And look, I'm glad you're here. If you're a first timer, be sure to check out all the previous episodes. There's obviously 67 or so of them. And do me a favor and leave me a review on iTunes. The whole way that we're building momentum to be able to reach 300 million salespeople is by the good nature of folks like yourself that listen to our show down here and leave us reviews, right? We need you. We need you. I'm calling you. I am calling you to go leave a review on iTunes. And you could say I don't give a fuck what you put in the review. It doesn't even matter, right? We just need reviews. Like iTunes isn't going through there and reading every one of your reviews and deciding stuff. Like you put whatever the hell you want, as long as it's 5 stars, of course. Here's a fine example. My man, Chris True. What's up, Chris? He says, Chris True, the True Team Remax by Chris True, the True Team at Remax. You want to make sure that we plug him twice. I like that stuff. He says, Ryan Stewman does not disappoint. He keeps it 100 and always provides tons of value and humor in his content to keep you learning and entertained. I've been following him and learning from him for about 3 years now. Highly recommend checking him out. So that's Chris True with the True Team over at Remax, leaving us a 5-star review. Appreciate that, man. And that's what we'll do for you too. Like, plug your business. I don't give a shit if Chris would have said, hey, Ryan Stewman does not disappoint, or if he could have said, hey, I sell houses in whatever part of town that he's in, and goes over his whole sales pitch. I just want the reviews. Matter of fact, the better your sales pitch is and the review, the more likely this shit's going to get read on the air. And I almost said redden. Right, it's like reading on the air, losing my damn mind. All right, before we jump into the episode, I'd like to also say, listen, if you're a loan officer, if you work in real estate, if you're an insurance agent, general contractor, you're a builder, broker, title company, do you need to make sure that your clients are safe when they move into a home, when they refinance and lower their bills with the home, when they take the lease on a home? We need to make sure that they're safe and secure inside of their new home. And the best way to do that is by going over to yourfreealarm.com. That's a company that I own. It's completely separate from Hardcore Closer, completely separate management, team, resources, and everything else. And at yourfreealarm.com, our job is to help people, first of all, help people in the real estate world look like heroes, because you're providing a free security service to your clients. You say, hey, listen, I want to keep you safe in your new home. And by doing so, I've provided you with a free alarm from yourfreealarm.com. And that's awesome for you. It makes you look like the hero, like you give a shit about them. If you're an insurance agent, it helps lower their premium, which you know about. If you're a real estate agent, it makes you look like a hero. Same thing on the mortgage side. And then on top of that, it keeps your people safe. It allows them to sleep. They have peace of mind that they can monitor their home through cameras. They can have security. They can see what's going on out of town. We have all sorts of automation stuff that we can offer them as well. So just make sure, if you're in the real estate in one form or another, you got to make sure that you're a referral partner over at yourfreealarm.com, because we'll send you $100 for everybody that you send us that ends up taking us up on our offer. That's right. You get to give them a free alarm. They get free alarm and installation. You get $100. You look like a hero and get littered with referrals. That's what it's all about at yourfreealarm.com. It's fucking awesome. That's what I feel about it. It's fucking awesome. All right, let's jump into this week's episode. Is sales management right for you? So the deceased philosopher Mitch Hedberg once said, Hollywood is a rough place, man. He said that, you work all your life and you get really good at comedy, and then they're like, but can you write? And he's like, that's working all of your life and becoming a really good chef, and then them being like, but can you farm? And that's kind of what sales management is for salespeople. It's like, okay, you're really good at sales, but can you manage? And it seems like for people that want to climb the corporate ladder, that's the logical way to do things, right? Like, you want to climb the corporate ladder, you got to start off in sales, then or somewhere in some department somewhere, right? And in our case, for the people listening to this show, it would be sales. So you got to start off in sales, and you got to work your way into sales manager, and then you got to work your way into territorial manager, and then maybe vice president, and ultimately one day you'll be a C-level executive, which is a great, that's like the American dream. That's what you go to college and they indoctrinate people with. If you'll go be a good little worker bee, then they'll move you right up the ladder, not the elevator like what we got over here. Because you just take, fuck a ladder. It's kind of scary. You ever seen like firemen hanging off those ladders and shit? Things are high as hell. I don't like heights. I'm gonna take the elevator. And so anyway, we go from being good salespeople to being offered management, which we've been told through college and school and our parents and everything else that's how you roll the corporate ladder. Especially those of you that are in a corporate structure that do like real estate or mortgages or work for a bank or an insurance company or something like that. You logically, that's the way to make it up the corporate ladder to ultimately be at the top. But the thing is, sales management ain't for everybody. It's not. And there's a difference between being a salesperson and being a manager, a significant difference. So we're going to talk about today if sales management's right for you. If you're a top producing salesperson, there's a good chance that you shouldn't leave your position as a top producing salesperson. You should build a team around you to support you versus trying to go into management. Because here's the evil game corporations play with us salespeople. And look, I'm just going to fucking tell you like it is. If you get your feelings hurt, that's on you. It's not on me. All right. I'm just be straight with you. I warn you, you can always turn the show off right now if you want to like live in a comfortable lie. But most salespeople aren't the most intelligent people on the planet, right? Like most of us didn't go to Ivy League colleges. We ain't applying for jobs with MBAs and shit like that. We're not like our experience and our expertise and smartness comes from usually the streets. It comes from the experiences that we've done, that we've gained from the experiments that we've conducted, right? And so with us not being that smart, what logically happens to us as salespeople is corporations who do have MBAs, the leaders of the corporation, CEOs, things like that, who do have MBAs, who do go to college, who do know how to pencil whip us, right? Who do know how to talk us into like going into things. They know that if you're making a lot of money as a top producer, the next logical thing for them to do is to move you into management, because then basically they cut your pay. Because if you're making $100,000 a month as a top producer and then you go into management, now all of a sudden you're getting, instead of getting 100% or 50% of whatever it was that you were making, and you were making $100,000 a month, now you're getting 1% of what everybody's doing, and everybody's not doing, you were number one. Nobody's doing as much as you were. So you just took a pay cut, which brings me to my first point. If you were thinking about going into management, you can't think about going into management and get instantly more money. I don't know too many people that have been able to pull that off, because you got to train people, you got to build people up, and you got to think if you're the top producer and you're going into sales management, then you got to be willing to take a pay cut. So if you're thinking if sales management's right to you, the number one thing you need to be thinking about is, are you willing to take a pay cut, and for how long? Because it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before you build it up. But the thing is, you're going to have to take a pay cut, because all of a sudden you're going to be paid off a smaller portion off the efforts of many versus a large portion off the efforts of yourself. So you got to be willing to take a pay cut. I know a lot of people who've been successful in, been the top producer in one form or another. And they go into the management position because the corporation basically, without telling them, says you're making too much money, let us give you a job in management. And they move into the management position and they make less money, but it's like heroin, right? It's like they know that this high is out there, and they will continue chasing it forever. Now, clarify, I've never done heroin. I'm reading the book The Dirt by Motley Crue, and apparently those guys did a lot of it. So that's what brought the reference to mind. That is a fucking awesome book, by the way. Like, dude, the like opening line is like, we called her Bullwinkle because she looked like a moose, but she could squirt her cum across the room. I'm like, this is my fucking book right here. I'm reading this shit. What's up? Anyway, so it's like chasing drugs, right? Trying to get a high again. And you know that there's more money out there. You know that there's people who are making a ton of money in sales management. So the carrot's constantly dangled in front of you, right? You're constantly chasing that dragon. But the problem is, not everybody else is chasing the same dragon you are. It's hard to get everybody into a state of ecstasis, which according to the book by Stephen Kotler, Stealing Fire, ecstasis is when everybody syncs up together. And that's the key about being management, is you've got to be able to get your whole team to sync up. And when I say sync up, I mean, like with my team, with Lindsay and Pat and Travis and Josh and Roxanne and Jose and everybody else, Mandy that's involved, they all know what to do on a daily basis, right? They know that if they do things a certain way, and then they put their piece of the puzzle in, and then the next person does things a certain way, and they put their piece of the puzzle in, at the end of every single day, we'll have completed that puzzle. And that's because we all belong to this collective intelligence. Man, that is not something that I was able to learn fast, right? That's just something that has to be created. And when I stepped back from being a salesperson, because when I ran this company by myself, I was obviously the top producer. And then when I started hiring salespeople and assistants and support staff, I had to take a huge pay cut. And you think about it, even though I own this company, I went through the transition from salesperson to CEO into management. And I mean, that's what I am now. I'm ultimately the general manager of my company. I'm nobody else is really in charge of organizing things in the fashion that I am. And so you have to ask yourself if you're willing to take a pay cut. If you're not, sales management's probably not going to be for you, because there is going to be, especially if you're the top producer, there is going to be a period of time where you're going to be missing some income. Number 2, do you like delegating and relying on others? You have to ask yourself this, because if you're going into management, you can't pick up the phone and close everybody. You can't be at every meeting closing the person. You can't be at every networking event closing the people. You can't talk to every internet lead. You can't. You've got to coach the individuals. So do you like relying on other people? If you're like a lone wolf top producer, chances are sales management's not for you. If you like doing shit yourself and you like having total control and you don't like telling other people what to do, then it doesn't matter how much money's offered in management, you'll never get it, because that's not how it works. See, for me, I'm a control freak, and I like to have control of my surroundings. And I'm the type of person that, when we bring people to Break Free Academy, I'm like, if you don't get it, just give me your fucking computer. I'll fix it for you real quick. That's just how I am, right? And I've had to learn to delegate and rely on other people. I've had to learn to trust Pat and Lindsay that they know their job. And, every now and then I'll think, oh shit, we should be doing this. And then they'll be like, dude, we've been doing that for months. And I just have to learn to trust and delegate things out to them. And after a while, when you reach that period of ecstasis and everybody's on the same page together and everybody's synced up together, and it's not so much the delegating part, because people know what to do. Now all of a sudden you're relying on others to do what they know to do, which sometimes can be very frustrating, because a lot of people will underperform. And it's hard to, you think in sales management, you're going to get a team of, the Mighty Ducks. You're going to turn the Bad News Bears. You're going to turn these motherfuckers around and they're going to go win the World Series, right? But that's rarely what happens. And so you got to think, are you willing to put your paycheck in the hands of others, right? Are you willing to trust the people that work for the company that's trying to move you into management that you'll be over? Do you trust them with your paycheck? Because that's exactly what you're doing. So if you're not a delegator and you don't like relying on other people, obviously sales management is not the move for you. Now listen, I want to clear something up. There's nothing wrong with being a salesperson. For some fucking reason, we have it in our mind that we've got to move up this ladder, but you don't have to. You don't have to. And it's not for everybody. So I got this homie, man. He's a business partner of mine. His name's Mike Wolf. He works for Willow Bend Mortgage in Plano, Texas. When I do my mortgages, that's the guy I work with. Like, he did the mortgages on my house, my investment properties. That's my guy. And he taught me the mortgage game. And he's been in this business since the 90s. I mean, I was 16 when I first met him. And he's been in this business since the 90s. And with Mike, he's never been a manager. He's probably, his title's VP, but I don't think he gives a shit. He only shows up to meetings because he has to. He doesn't manage people. He's not telling other people what to do. He just minds his own business. He's just a sales dude. He's a loan officer sales guy. He's really fucking good at it. And he makes a ton of money every year with no stress and not relying on anybody else and just doing his fucking thing. And there's nothing wrong with it. Mike has a ass ton. I'm going to put his business out there on blast. But right, Mike has an ass ton of investments and money that he saved up and everything else. He's a great dude. He's got his shit together. And he's living a life, that most people would die for. And he's never had to manage anything. He's found his place, making, very successful, very decent amount of money every year and doing his thing. But meanwhile, I got homeboys that have gone into management, and now all of a sudden they got 15 people working for them. They hate half of them. They want to fire 3/4 of them, but the boss above them won't let them do it. They can't train them. They won't listen to them, and they can't go back to just being a salesperson because they're scared to admit defeat. So these are the things that you got to ask yourself before you go into. There's nothing wrong with just being the salesperson. Up until I got to the level that I'm at in my personal company, I just wanted to be the salesperson. I just couldn't keep up with demand. But that's the way I was at any job. I was never the manager. I was never the team leader. I was just a sales dude. Put the word to it. Ryan Stewman / top motherfucking producer. That's the fuck I want on my business card. That's what I want. Damn it. All right, number 3. Do you function well in team environments? Like some of us are team players, some of us aren't. I had to learn to be a team player. All my life, I've had the mentality, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And I know that when I got out of prison, I had to go make the sales to get the money back. Nobody was there for me. When I got divorced, I had to go be the one to hustle up the money to pay the extra attorney fees. Nobody was there for me. And so I've always had this lone wolf mentality. And I don't function well in team environments because, like I said earlier, I would just take somebody's laptop and do the work myself, then hand it back to them and be like, fuck it, it's done. And so thinking about this, like if you don't play well with others, there's nothing wrong with that shit. But you surely shouldn't go into management, right? If you're the type to like, instead of coaching people through it, instead of informing people and teaching people and helping them become better and stuff like that, if you don't function well in the team environment, and look, the team environment doesn't have to be this warm, snowflakey, fuzzy kittens and fucking Downy commercials type of shit, right? It doesn't have to be that way. What is like some of the softest things you can think of, right? Like the little cuddle bear from the Downy commercials, the Downy softener, that looks pretty soft. Honestly, those bears from that toilet paper commercial, those things look pretty soft too. I mean, I've never seen an ass so clean in my life. I'm just saying. But when it comes to the team environments, it doesn't have to be soft, right? And like for us, we have over here at Hardcore Closer, we have a really efficient team environment, but it's like a locker room, you know? I mean, fuck, dude, I got automatic Nerf guns. I light these motherfuckers up when I come in the office some days, right? And my kids and the people that work for me, it's awesome. I love it. And we have hoverboard races and everything else, and we talk shit to each other and all that good stuff and all good fun. But that's how we function in the team environment, you know? And so if you can't figure out your place in order to lead the team and be able to function collectively, then it's definitely not going to be work out well for you when you go into management. You got to remember the biggest trick that the salesperson falls for is they become a really good salesperson and then they move them into management and remove. What happens to your book of business? Oh, you just took a bigger cut on your book of business, but now that you're in quote unquote management. Like this deception, folks. It's Illuminati deception CEO shit that us salespeople, we ain't in on the fucking gig with. You know what I'm saying? We ain't in on that shit. It's like, hey, man, you're a really good comedian. Can you write? Hey, man, you're a really good chef. Can you farm? Hey, you're a really good salesperson. Can you manage? You see, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. But we fall for it because it's been indoctrinated within us, our parents, our grandparents. It's just like when you're selling something. And it's, let's say, with like when I did mortgages, you could ask people, they'd say, well, hey, what's your lowest interest rate? It's like, who taught you to say that? Because there's so much other shit that matters way more than an interest rate when it comes to this thing. But who taught you to say that? That's what my dad told me to ask for. Well, who taught him to say? He said banks are greedy. Who taught him that? Does your dad know that there's fucking more paperwork to fill out today than at any point? Like all the greedy banks were called S&Ls. They crashed in the 80s. Since then, we've been red tape regulated to the motherfucking max. Ain't nobody ripping anybody off. And then you might say, well, what about the subprime meltdown? It's like, dude, nobody got ripped off. They might have got high interest rates, but they didn't get ripped off. They chose those fucking things. And really, truthfully, the fact is that a lot of people lived the fucking baller-ass life for a long time that they wouldn't have normally fucking lived because of that. Where's all those people marching? You know, like I experienced the people making money and flipping houses. What about the people that made out well? Fuck the losers. But see, the losers are the people that cry the most. I could go on forever about this shit, right? That's why I don't always function the best. That's why we have the team environment that we have in our culture, right? So number 4, last thing, that you need to think about before you go into sales management? Like, what is your goal in management? Is it to be the boss? You just want to be the boss? You just want to tell people what to do? You sell something, damn it! Is that what you want to do? Right? Or do you want to grow I don't want to say multi-level, because then I'm saying y'all hit me with the network marketing shit, but like, do you want to grow like a multi-branch and multi-chain and all this kind of business? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because some people think they'll go into management and they'll manage 5 people. It doesn't make any damn sense unless those 5 people are each doing as much as you were. And then if you got 20% of their production, you're still only getting 1% of you, 100% of your production. So now you're in charge of 5 motherfuckers for the same amount of money when you were just running your own shit. You see, don't fall for this, folks. It's deception. The deception. Deception. It's dangerous, folks. But really, what's your goal? You see, when I did mortgages, I had an opportunity to move into management. And I took it. And I failed miserably the first time that I did. This was about 2004. They wanted me to be a branch manager, and I was following the American dream. I hired 3 or 4 loan officers, tried to train them, but I didn't understand why they couldn't close like I could. I really couldn't understand. It was mind-boggling to me. I would call their people back and close them up. I ended up doing all the work, training them, and then paying them, and it was such a pain in my ass. I told myself I would never, ever do it again. Flash forward 11 years later, I had been given some news from my attorney that my business was worthless and I'd better figure out a way to scale and leverage it in the event that something happened to me. And so I started hiring folks and delegating, and man, I fired a lot of people. And I'm not an easy person to get along with when you're working for me. And I'm not an easy person to get along with when you're paying me money to learn from me, let alone when you're working for me. And so, I had to let a lot of people go because they didn't make it. Because I have extremely high standards of what we're going to accept over here and the level of hard work that we look for in my company. And it took me letting a lot of people go and going through a lot of pain and taking pay cuts and learning how to delegate better and learning how to sync up with everybody to get everybody on the same team. We call it staying in your own lane, right? Like our salespeople can't complain about the success team. The success team can't complain about the money team. The money team can't complain about acquisition. So like, Travis, my sales guy, can't complain that Pat's funnel's not converting good enough leads. Travis' job is not fucking worry about the leads. Travis' job is to close the leads. He's got to stay in his own fucking lane. Same thing. Pat can't fucking, tell Travis that he can't close the leads, because that's not his damn business either. His job's not to fucking tell Travis to close leads. His job is to fucking generate the leads. You see, so we call it staying in your own lane. And what that does for us is it allows us to focus on not what the other person's doing or not doing, and not measure ourselves or whether they're carrying their weight or not carrying their weight or anything else. That's my job. But the people who represent these individual functions, they need to stay in their own lane so that they only worry about their job. Right? But it's awesome because now, I've been doing this for almost 2 years, and with the team in the Break Free Academy and Hardcore Closer business, and nobody comes to me complaining about these like what normal people would have, like typical issues. Nobody comes and brings that shit to me. Nobody says, hey, the success team's not doing their job, because that's all they got to focus on is their job. They don't give a fuck what the sales team's doing. They're going to get paid regardless. Right? The acquisition team isn't worried about what the sales team's doing. They're on salary. They're going to get paid regardless. And so it allows everybody to get better at what they're supposed to do, stay in their own lane, and not worry about anything. The great thing is we call the sales team the money team. As long as they're getting leads and shit, then they can never complain, because we're putting people who are interested in talking in front of you. But they don't complain. They go get stuff done because they stay in their own lane. So you need to decide, last thing is, like, what do you want to do? What's your goal in management? So let's do a quick recap. So first thing is it's figure out if sales management's right for you, if you should make the jump from top producer to sales manager. First, are you willing to take a pay cut? Are you willing to bring more headache on and possibly take less money? Because that's what's most likely going to happen at first. Number 2, do you like delegating and relying on others? Can you trust people to get shit done? If you're 100% control freak, if you run a lone wolf operation right now, or you've had to hire and fire a lot of people, it's probably not going to work well for you to go to management either. Number 3, do you function well in team environments? Are you a team player? or are you a hot shot, right? There's nothing wrong with being a hot shot, but if you're a hot shot, you are a ball hog or whatever you want to call it, you can't you can't think that you'll do well managing a team, because then you'll be thinking like a boss and not a leader, and it's just not going to be good function for you. And then number 4, you got to figure out if your goal is to make more money, you need to put a pencil to it to figure out what the production is for you to make the money that you want to make. How many do each of your salespeople have to sell? How far away are they at? You need to get all that stuff together. So with that being said, make sure you head over to elevatortothetop.com and grab your free paperback copy of my best-selling sales book titled the same, elevatortothetop.com. And you can get it, sit in the mail and all that other stuff. We got about 500 left, so you better get your ass over there quick. Once this show is live on Hardcore Closer here in a few days, you go to hardcorecloser.com, or you can go to closerpodcast.com, and you can find all the past episodes, even the Rockstar Closer episodes as well. Don't forget about yourfreealarm.com if you're in the real estate business, and we'll see you next week.